Hey guys, Chris here with The Good Old Gamer. So the other day I posted this video where I posed the question, is the GTX 1180 a mid-range GPU at a high-end price, and is it worth $699? Now the reaction to that video was varied. It was very interesting to see the community and the reaction to that particular video. Now, I wanted to follow up with this video and address some of the biggest sort of questions or concerns or comments that had come out of that. And I wanted to go ahead and discuss why my views on things seem to be very different than some people's out there. One of the things that came up a lot was, it's faster, so who really cares? It's just faster demands more money. Now, I went back to AnandTech's GeForce 8800 GTX review in search of answers. Now, what I did is I took the GeForce 7900 GTX numbers and 8800 GTX numbers for all the gaming benchmarks that they had in there and pulled up the averages. The 7900 GTX averaged 47.16 frames per second, whereas the 8800 GTX averaged 85.3 frames per second across the 1600 by 1200 benchmarks. This is an increase of 81.4%. Now, what's interesting is the 8800 GTX was the start of a new lineup, and the 7900 GTX was actually a refresh. Unfortunately, they did not have the 7800 GTX in there, which would be a like-for-like comparison here, as that is what started off the 7000 series. Regardless, we're still seeing an 81.4% increase with day one drivers on the GeForce GTX 8800. Now, that is a massive increase considering that over time, this number is going to go even higher, and that's comparing it to the much more powerful refresh card instead of the like-for-like launch flagship GPU. Now, the 7900 GTX did not have a firm MSRP. It was between $499 and $599. That was the best I could find online, but most places were saying that they were available for $499. However, the 7800 GTX, which is much slower than this, by the way, did launch at $599, which is the exact same price that the 8800 GTX launched at. And this is the way things used to be. You used to buy a GPU, one generation, replace it for the exact same GPU class in the future, and gain significant performance. Another big thing that came up is the fact that cost to manufacture is just going through the freaking roof. Now, prices are going up, there's no denying that. Gamers Nexus did a really good video and article on this particular subject here recently. And I want to give a shout out to Peter Jensen for pointing this one out to me. But if we look at the GDDR5, this is only 8 gigabits. So this isn't even GDDR5X, which is probably even less of a difference. For 8 gigabytes, they figure out today that's about $72. Last year that was about $50. Now, if we move to GDDR6, they're estimating about $88 over the 72. Now, that is a $16 increase, so costs technically are going up. They also say that this is about 20% higher than it should be, but at the end of the day, $16 is not a lot of money. If GPUs only cost $16 more each generation, I don't think anybody would have a problem with that. It would take many years for them to go up hundreds and hundreds of dollars. Now, another thing that came up is the specs that I was using was based off of WCCF Tech's, rumor here. Now, we actually have some new information that player NKC actually got to me, that Tech PowerUp actually put this up yesterday. And as we can see here, the specs are basically the same. We have 3584 CUDA cores, we have 224 TMUs, and we have 64 ROPs. The biggest difference is Tech PowerUp is calling this a Volta card and not Turing, and the clock speeds are significantly lower. They are going ahead and calling it at 16 gigabytes of RAM. I actually think that there will be both a 6 and 8 gigabyte version to help separate the price points out. But regardless, it looks like that these specs right here are looking even more legit. So yes, these are still rumors, but it's becoming more and more likely. Now, it's the difference in opinion between faster equals more value versus me that thinks that the price and die size should remain identical, meaning each generation, a certain class GPU should remain within a certain price scale, and over time it should go up a little bit at a time to offset real-world costs, not to inflate margins. So, like I just showed you with Gamers Nexus's numbers, they're charging a lot more money for GPUs today. Meanwhile, the cost of RAM, yeah, it's up 20 or 30 bucks, but that doesn't mean a GPU should be costing $50 or $60 more. That is just price gouging. And my main difference there is that's not okay in my book. But a lot of people seem to be all right with it. And it really got me thinking as to why we think so radically different. And I came to realize that there are different categories of tech enthusiasts out there. I fit in the vets category most of the time. I actually dabble in some of the other categories as well. I'll go over that here in a second. But vets are typically your older gamers, and they've been around since the beginning of modern gaming. We've seen generational increases, such as the 8800 GTX, being nearly twice as fast for the exact same amount of money, and that's what we came to expect back in the day. And up until recently, that's pretty much what we were getting. It's only with the GeForce 10 series that prices really just kind of got out of hand. Next up, you have your indifferent gamers. These are the types of people that say, I don't care, it doesn't affect me, I'll just get something secondhand, or I'll just keep whatever I've got. Now, I can completely understand this category. They just don't want to deal with it. You know, they just want to get their hardware, they want to play their games, and they want to be done with it. And there's really nothing wrong with that, except for the fact that we don't have much competition in the market, so every consumer needs to be well informed as to what it is that they're buying, as it does have effects on the rest of the community. Next up is the corporate sympathizer. Now, this to me is more like the devil's advocate out there. And there's nothing wrong with people taking a look at both sides of the equation there. These people typically say that there's no competition, it's the other company's fault for not being competitive, and prices have gone up due to manufacturing costs, and it's just capitalism. Now, while none of that is wrong, it is technically all true, it's really not the position that a consumer should be taking. Now, granted, these are true, but as a consumer, that's really none of your concern. And just because that there's not real competition out there doesn't mean that we, as the consumer, should just accept inflated prices. And then finally, the last category that I have the hardest time relating to is the justification category. Now, these are the types of people that say things like faster equals more valuable. Only buy the best regardless of price, and who cares, faster is better. Now, once again, these are all technically true, but at the same time, because of what I've seen over the years and what I have come to expect from the market and the things that I demand before I go ahead and pony up money, this does not work for me. Faster does not mean more valuable to me. I expect performance increases every year or every generation at identical prices because that's the way things have always been. Now, the reason why I wanted to break it down into categories like that is because the PC enthusiast and tech market, we're a very fractured bunch. I mean, you can go to any comment section or any forum, and there are people with extremely differing points of view. And most of those sorts of points of view I kind of touched on with that graph there. There are others, but that's kind of the big ones that you'll see out there a lot of the time. Oh, things were better back in the day. Or I don't care, I'll just buy something used. Or hey, it costs more to build something today than it did 10 years ago. And then you have the, well, I don't care, it's faster, take my money. And you guys watching this, you're probably going, yep, I see that all the time because it's most common. The thing is none of these categories in and of themselves are correct. They're all right on certain facets, as I just discussed. And they're all wrong on certain facets because of everything else. Now, the only way to really get a good picture or a good understanding of the market is to understand each of those facets. Now, personally to me, consumers should come first to consumers. Meaning, you know, you guys out there, unless you're a business and you're actually making money off of this, in that case, go for it. You know, you have to do what's right by you. But as a consumer, you have to critically think what's best for you. Don't worry about, hey, you know, this is faster and I want something that's faster and that's great and I have money for whatever's faster. And now I have to figure out a way to justify that by slamming on other people. You need to go ahead and have rational discussions here, because at some point in that conversation, you are completely wrong at some point. I've been called out and I've been wrong, and I'll admit it. There's plenty of times in the comment section I'll be like, nope, you're right. Maybe I screwed something up or had some wrong data. But typically, I can relate to both the indifferent category and I can even relate to the corporate sympathizer category. It's the justification category that I don't get. I really don't understand why people feel that just having the absolute best, regardless of their own financial well-being, I don't get that. I can't relate to that. That never, ever made any sense to me personally. Well, guys, I just wanted to point this out so this way we can all kind of communicate with each other a little bit better. Remember that there are other points of view. And like I said, everybody's right at some point and everybody's wrong at some point. And there's really no 100% true, this is absolutely the best way to go. Now, granted, I will always fight for the consumer. Companies will always fight for themselves. You guys should look out for yourselves. That's my only real suggestion there. And do what's best for you. Now, I hope I was able to clear some things up there. I hope some of you guys found this interesting. Maybe next time you're in a discussion with somebody, you can try to look at things from a different perspective. Try to understand where it is that they're coming from. And then as a community, maybe we can actually grow and deal with real problems like things like the GPP, which once again, good job on that one. If you guys like this video, go ahead and hit that like button. Please subscribe. Please share with friends. That really helps me out. And once again, if you guys need any gaming gear, click the affiliate links in the description below. Those are still Elric's from Tech of Tomorrow. That really helps him out, and I really appreciate everybody who's been doing that. And that's all I have for today, guys. I will catch you guys in the next video.